There is a feeling right now across Western Europe, a quiet, crippling anxiety that something fundamental has broken. We grew up believing that the heart of Europe, places like Germany and France, were invincible economic engines. A vast, quiet mechanism has been put in motion, and the objective is a great shift of power. Right now, a historic wealth transfer is draining capital from the old core of Europe and funneling it directly into the East. The European Union is undergoing a forced, irreversible structural metamorphosis. Let's look at the actual data. Foreign direct investment is the ultimate leading indicator of corporate confidence, and the numbers are terrifying for Western Europe. The bleeding started back in 2024, when overall European FDI dropped by 5%, with manufacturing investment sliding by a severe 9%. But the pain wasn't spread evenly. Foreign investment projects in France plummeted by 14% and Germany experienced a staggering 17% decrease in inflows. Out of 500 global business leaders surveyed, 37% postponed or cancelled their European investment plans entirely. France is now facing a spiraling public debt crisis, with public debt pushed to 118% of GDP in 2026, suppressing their economic growth to approximately 1%. But the real shock is Germany. The German economy showed a mere 0.2% adjusted GDP growth for the entirety of 2025, rebounding only slightly to a projected 1% growth in 2026. The German economic engine is experiencing de facto stagnation. But why is the old core collapsing? It comes down to energy. Following the permanent loss of cheap Russian natural gas and the forced transition to more expensive LNG, Germany's energy-intensive sectors have been deeply and permanently scarred. The chemical industry, historically the bedrock of German export, is losing its ability to pass elevated energy costs onto global consumers. By January 2026, the structural damage became inevitable. Germany's industrial sector experienced a 11.1% drop in orders in a single month. Metal production plunged 10.3% alone. To understand how desperate the situation is right now, look at what the German government is doing to stop total corporate offshoring. They were forced to implement a heavily subsidized industrial electricity price running through 2028. The state is literally covering up to 50% of an eligible company's annual electricity consumption just to keep them from leaving. But even these massive government handouts, the structural reality remains. Germany is no longer a cost-competitive manufacturing hub. But capital doesn't just vanish, it reallocates. Capital goes where it's treated best. The capital is simply moving. It's leaving the West and flowing into the economic purpose sphere, taking the industrial capacity with it. Take Spain, for example. Spain registered near 3% GDP growth in 2025 by deploying approximately 20 billion euros in EU Recovery and Resilience Facility grants to focus on infrastructure and technological modernization. But the most aggressive wealth accumulation in modern European history is happening right now in Poland. Poland's GDP growth is projected to reach robust levels of 3.5 to 3.9% annual across 2026. They have successfully positioned themselves as the primary logistics, defense, and technology hub of the new Europe, effectively replacing Germany as the continent's industrial frontier. Their capital capture is historically extraordinary. In 2025, the European Investment Bank injected a record 8 billion euros into Poland, representing a massive 2.5% of their total GDP. This includes a 2 billion euro allocation specifically for offshore wind farms in the Baltic Sea, cementing their future energy independence and isolating them from the exact energy shock that crippled Germany. But the true story, the true engine of this wealth transfer, is defense. Billions of dollars are currently being deployed to build out US Air Force and US Army operational bases, laying a foundation designed to last for the next 50 years. To accelerate this, the Polish government bypassed traditional bureaucratic delays to instantly authorize key infrastructure projects spanning roads, deep water seaports, and military logistic terminals. Furthermore, Poland is the largest absolute benefactor of the new minted security action for Europe. They secured over 43.7 billion euros to radically overhaul their military technology. And here is the genius part. 89% of these funds are legally mandated to be injected directly back into the Polish domestic arm industry. This is a historic injection of money and technology into the Polish domestic economy. In 2026, Poland pushed its defense spending to a staggering 4.8% of GDP, the highest absolute level of the entirety of NATO. The map of Europe has been permanently redrawn. High-value manufacturing is no longer subsidized in the West. It is building a fortress in the East. So how do you position yourself for this? The data supports accumulation in targeted ETF of broad, diversified exposure to the global rearmament supercycle. Funds like the Van Eck Defense ETF and Han ETF Future of Defense and iShare Global Aerospace and Defense ETF offer exposure to European primes and cybersecurity innovators. Second, leverage geographic arbitrage. If you run a digital business or work remotely, you have options. Poland and the Baltics are offering aggressive regulatory flexibility and tax incentives to attract high-value human capital. The Polish investment zone schemes allows qualifying corporate entities to secure a corporate income tax exemption for up to 15 years. Or look at the Estonian SIT model, available in Poland, which charges zero corporate income tax on generated profits as long as those profits are reinvested back into the company's growth. Taxation only occurs when profits are distributed as dividend. The conclusion: you must detach your income from slow-growing region. The wealth is moving and you need to move with it. But this massive military buildup comes with a dark, hidden cost for the rest of us. To fund these tanks and drones, governments across Europe are going to have to prioritize funds. In part 3, our final episode, the agenda is to show you that when this much money is forced into militarization, reallocation and stagnation elsewhere is inevitable. The EU don't want to cut in welfare, but data shows cuts and stagnation are slowly creeping in on the rest of us. Hit subscribe and I will see you in part 3.